It's Friday. This is gonna be so good. I'm gonna let everybody sign up. Can't believe this Friday. Oh my goodness. Got the music going. It's gonna be a nice Friday. We had an event yesterday and it was so good. So I'm gonna let people join in.
Hey,
Hi, good morning.
there we go. How's it
Oh,
going?
there you go. See?
Ah,
It wasn't that hard. It's super easy.
all right. Can you
Happy
hear me okay?
Friday.
Do you hear me all right?
I can hear you fine. I can see
All
you.
right.
We're good to go. I'm gonna let some people join in. Usually takes a couple of minutes.
Okay.
So, good morning and happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
Oh my goodness. By the way, the event yesterday, amazing. Amazing.
The one, was it in Cromwell last night?
Yeah, we have we started 3 years ago. And we partnered with BBB Better Business Bureau for the Latino Hispanic Heritage Month, and it was phenomenal, phenomenal. A lot of you know what? The music, the live music was amazing. Everybody was so impressed because we never had live music before. Especially, Bomba y Plena, which is the typical from Puerto Rico. We had the food was amazing, drink the sangrias, but the people, the the guests, telling their stories and their struggles and everything else. It was seriously wow. I'm so glad that we picked the people that we picked. And everybody at the end, they were exchanging number. I mean, I see a lot of collaborations after last night, so I'm super happy with that.
That's great. You're so excited about it. That's great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start. Let me start over here, get everything done. I'm so excited and thank you for being here. So to all of you, I wanted to say thank you to Michael. Michael, let's start. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what industry you running at this moment.
Well, I could go on for a long time about that. So
That's
here,
why I
here,
have
here.
you here.
All right. I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I'm a lawyer since 1993. So I'm going on 32 years now. And for 32 years, I have represented injured people. So I'm a personal injury and workers' compensation lawyer. I spent about 21 years working for other law firms, and then I opened up my own office in Hartford in 2014. So I moved my main office to South Windsor just a few months ago, and I'm doing the same thing now that I've been doing for over 3 decades. I help people who are injured.
Phenomenal. Oh my goodness. What do you think is the common mistake, obviously, in that department in the injury when they have a car accident? I can imagine. What do you see the common mistakes that the clients they do, and what they can actually do better for the next time?
I mean, we could talk about that for hours. Come on.
Let's do it. That's why I have you
Um,
here, so you can
yeah.
actually help everyone.
Well, I think that the smart thing to do is engage a lawyer. And even if you don't know for sure if you want to pursue a case, go chat with a lawyer. It's like anything else in life where there are people who focus their lives on a particular type of problem. You go take advantage of them. and they have knowledge and information that you don't. So I was just talking with a new prospective client, let's say within the last week. And this is a person that was genuinely hurt for real at work. It's medical treatment that's extensive. It's included surgery, and it's a hardworking person who's never had a case before. And they tried to navigate through it. The guy tried to navigate through it himself for probably the better part of a year. And by doing that on his own, there's probably several months of benefits that he needed to feed his family and pay his mortgage. He's married with children that now he won't get. So, talk to the lawyers. This is what we do. And that I think is the biggest mistake. Some people think, yeah, I'm fine. I don't need a lawyer. And maybe they're right, but still chat with one. We don't charge for that initial consultation. It's a chance to have a discussion with somebody for free. And that's what I think people should do better.
I was just going to ask you that. I hear that a lot, especially in the Latino community. If they're just scared, to reach out to an attorney because they think that they have to pay up front. Um, how is the process with you when somebody either have any problems in that avenue? What is the original, one-on-one that you actually sit down and talk to them about? Do you do it over the phone? Do you let them know, hey, stop by at the office, make an appointment? What do you recommend?
Well, with me, it always starts with a phone call.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes there's never a need to have another phone call or a meeting in person, face to face. But it starts with a phone call, and people don't get charged for that. And you know what? Most of the men and women that do what I do we're very similar in how we approach this. But you have the phone call, and some people call me because they think they have a great case, but it turns out it's not the area of law that I practice in. But I still might be helpful or give them a referral to somebody else who I know is experienced, capable, competent, ethical, and will fight for them in the area where they do need the help. But it starts with that phone call. And you don't get, with personal injury and workers' comp lawyers like me, you don't normally get charged for that phone call. Then the next thing that would happen is if we both want to advance it, then we have a meeting in person.
That's phenomenal. I want to go back a little bit, because I usually ask everyone, how they got into the business, for you, even though you've been doing it for a long time, and that means that you have an excellent background on it, and that's what people needs the most. How exactly you got into this, to be an attorney? It was everything that you already knew that you were going to go and study for, or it was, a second choice?
No, let me tell you, it's not the shortest of stories, but it's a true story and it's my story. Um, my father was a foot doctor, a podiatrist, and so was his father. So I was born and bred to be the third generation podiatrist. I'm not into feet. So as a kid, I used to help my father and my grandfather in their office. So I was exposed to the patient care that they provided, and it left a mark on me, not the whole foot thing, because again, that's not my thing, but it left a mark on me that every man and woman that came into their office was a human being that they could sit down with face to face and provide some help. And I liked that about what they did. Now, in the background of my kid life, I had my grandmother steering me in another direction. She came up in an age where her brothers became lawyers in north central New Jersey and and also in Connecticut and in Massachusetts. Well, it was harder for women to become lawyers back then, and she went through her adult life with some resentment over that. So whenever there was talk of my future as a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old or an 11-year-old, there was my grandmother yelling from whatever room in the house that she was in, yelling in the background, I want a lawyer in the family. So I had that influence from her and from my own mother, who basically just said, you argue over everything and you're always right and you should be a lawyer. So those two influences from my mother and my grandmother. and the influence of seeing my father and grandfather helping individuals. That's when I started to look at becoming a lawyer. I looked younger than most people at what I wanted to do. I kind of knew at a young age.
That's phenomenal. They, obviously your father and your grandfather, they were in that business. Do they resent you because you didn't go into that, the same business as them, or
I don't know if I'd use the word resentment.
resent? Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I come up with some, words. I'll tell you.
Right. Yeah, no,
Well,
I think it would have been preferred, but I don't think anybody carried any baggage over that.
any baggage. Yeah, no, no, no. I should have used another word anyway. So, okay, so let's talk about. I have a couple of questions that I wanted to actually go through it. Let me see. So, you license only in Connecticut, or you do, obviously other states. So we can.
I'm here. Connecticut's my wheelhouse.
Okay, okay, phenomenal. And are you? Where are you located now? Is still in
So,
Hartford or?
so I have a remote, a satellite location in Hartford in case I need it. But no, my main office and where I work 99.9% of the time is my office in South Windsor. So my main office is in South Windsor, and it's where I'm sitting right now.
Phenomenal. And I have to ask you, as a Latina, I'm pretty sure you serve the Latino community. How do you deal with you know, the Spanish and English, the translation and everything else? I'm pretty sure having an office in Hartford, you have to deal with, the many Latinos there.
Um, the reality is it can be a challenge because
Mhm.
I'm not bilingual. So it can be a struggle. And most of the time, if I have a client that speaks almost no English or, none at all or very, very little, we'll rely on one of their family members or friends that speaks English.
Oh, well, that's definitely. Well, I'm here if you ever need any help. Because
Right.
I'm gonna send you a lot of referrals from this podcast, right here, this
Well,
conversation.
thank you.
Well,
We make it work. We do make
we
it
make
work.
it work. That's good. That we always find a way, it's
Yep.
just about helping everyone, and it doesn't matter the background. We're just here to help. Definitely agree with you on that. Let me ask you, and let me see. Because I usually go, talk to people about my industry. So I'm actually doing a little bit more to talk to other businesses around. So I wanted to ask you, are there any unique laws or regulations in Connecticut that people should know about or be aware of?
Boy, that's a loaded question. I'm sure there's tons of them,
I know
but
that you like to
you
talk
know,
about it, so there
so
you
there, so
go.
that there's one thing in particular that really bothers me, and that has to do with auto insurance.
Okay.
So the state has the minimum amount of coverage that we all have to have for our autos of $25,000. I think that's woefully inadequate. I mean, I understand that how much insurance anybody wants to have to protect themselves, they have to decide what's affordable and what their needs are.
Yeah.
But, really when it comes to auto accidents, injuries can be terrible. And if you look at how the cost of medical care has just
Mhm.
increased over the course of my law practice, so, over 3 decades, it's insane. But the amount of auto insurance coverage that everybody's required to have, while it was bumped up from 20 to $25,000 a couple of years ago, it's still not enough. So what I'll often see is somebody who has, you know, some life-altering injuries. I'm not talking about things that are relatively minor that are real, but we can manage, but really serious bad stuff. And then people are, underhelped, undercompensated, and it creates a major problem for them because there's just not enough insurance coverage to address what their needs are and their injuries. So that really bothers me that the law allows for such a low amount of insurance coverage. Now,
Uh,
we can protect ourselves by having our own auto insurance. having a high uninsured, underinsured amount of coverage. But again, most people don't know that. They're uninformed or misinformed about it. That is a way that we can make sure we're protecting ourselves and our loved ones, because that's who's going to be in the car, in our cars with us. But I still see a lot of people that they never get justice, they never get fairness on really major, significant, life-altering injuries, like I said, because there's not enough insurance coverage. I think those laws need to be fixed. That's just,
Absolutely.
if you ask what's a problem, to me, that's a problem.
That's really good to know. Can you tell us a little bit about, how they can actually go about to get extra insurance?
I mean,
What other steps,
I think the smartest thing to do is to have a good insurance agent. You know,
Yeah.
I was talking with somebody. It was either yesterday or the day before, who I know from my past, who is a business owner and has employees and is in the process of securing correct workers' compensation coverage.
Mhm.
And that person was talking about what insurance coverage they currently have, who they have it with, and how much they're paying. And I said, well, have you shopped around? No. Do you have an insurance agent that's compared, what the various policies are that you could maybe get and how much it would cost you? No. So I mean, I think, look, I'm not an expert in insurance coverage,
Yeah.
but I think that the smart thing for us to do, whether it's as a business owner or as an individual or for our families, have a good agent. And then
Absolutely.
they're gonna tell you what your options are, and they're gonna tell you what the costs are, and they will compare with several different insurance companies that they work with. I mean, again, I'm not an expert in all that, but that just makes good sense to me.
Yeah, and it makes it easier for you, after the fact. Yeah, I think I definitely, me personally, looking for either, obviously vehicle insurance. For many, many years is, you usually go to the same company because you know it. I don't want to mention names, obviously,
Right.
but that you feel comfortable because you see them either on the you hear them on the radio, you see them on TV, but right now there's so many AI, you see a lot of new different companies, new different names. And unfortunately, people, either they go ahead and submit the information not knowing what are you covered for, in details. It's usually you, and this I see a lot, in business insurance for the business owners. They usually let me know, oh, we don't have one, or we have one that we purchased like probably 4 years ago. They don't even know what entails. What do they have, and if it's any changes on them. I think it's very important what you just covered, have a good insurance, somebody that you can actually call, trust, and ask the questions, obviously. But
Yeah. I mean, I think that, like, what I found is, and it goes back to something that we already talked about. Talk to the right people about the right problems. Like, for example, if you're having a problem with your shoulder, you're not going to go to the foot doctor. Go to the
yeah,
right person for the right problem that you have. So, I was talking with somebody who had a work injury, and they went for some medical care, and they went to the clinic, and they had a couple of weeks off of work. Their job involves a lot of manual labor and a lot of physical demands and heavy lifting, and I think it was a shoulder injury that this person had. And then finally they were allowed to return to work, and I was talking with one of this person's family members who said the guy's still suffering. It's horrible. And what they didn't know is that you don't have to go to the clinic. You can go to a proper orthopedic specialist, and you can keep going if you need to. And they don't even know the basic workers' comp laws. And to me, very few people do. That's why
yeah,
we have workers' compensation lawyers. So it just gets back to, come talk to the lawyers, talk to the insurance agent. If your plumbing at home is shot, you get the plumber. If the
yeah.
lights aren't working, you get the electrician. So whatever your issue is, I'm just a fan of, not having people piss away and waste their money needlessly, but get the right person involved, and that can help you from being, penny wise and pound foolish.
Phenomenal. What, talking about the workers comp, is there any any advices in order for you, as your office deals with so many cases like that. Is there anything that you can give us, in terms about protecting ourselves of what to do? I know, thankfully, I never been through that situation, but I know a lot of people. And even if they ask me, I don't know what to let them know. Obviously, a referral, that's the best way. But now that I have you here, what is the first thing that they should do?
All right, you got to tell me the first part of it because I was interrupted by an incoming phone call. That's the problem
Not a problem.
of doing it live on Instagram. Yeah, I got phone calls coming. The phone calls have not stopped. My phone keeps lighting up on me while we're doing
No,
this. So I'm
we understand, and we thank you. I know that you're extremely busy, and taking your time on a Friday morning. I'm pretty sure,
no, thank
So
you for having me part of this. I appreciate it. But yeah, so what was the start of what you were saying?
what give us any tips. Obviously in worst case. Oh my goodness, I'm thinking in Spanish and English. See what I do. See what I do. In terms about worst case comp, what are the tips that you can actually give anybody who's going through that right now? What is any tips? Who should I call? Obviously, an attorney. Um, but what they should do, because there's so many mystic things about, the process. Um, Give us some advice.
Well, I mean, the challenge is this. We all hear horror stories, but if we're talking about most people most of the time, most people don't want to be injured. They want to be all better. They want to move forward with their lives and they don't want to be suffering from an injury. And they definitely don't
Yeah,
want to get in trouble at work. They don't want to rock the boat or be perceived as somebody that's greedy or looking to take advantage. So everybody's sort of struggling with that. But at the end of the day, to me, at least, there's nothing more important than your health
yeah,
other than arguably the health of your loved ones. So I think that what you want to make sure you're doing is doing everything in your power to improve your health and fix your injury. And that means going to the right doctor for the problem that you're having. Now, the workers' comp system will often steer you away from doing that because there are financial interests involved that conflict with your interests. I mean, there's nothing immoral or unethical with insurance companies and the basic premise that they exist as a business to make money. I mean, that's
yeah,
what we're all doing. That's how we all make a living. But the way they make their money is they collect the premiums and hold on to them.
yeah,
And what you want as an injured person is for them to pay your medical bills. So they're trying to not pay your medical bills. So what you want to remember is that you don't know all of your rights. You're not expected to know all of your rights because it's not what you do every single day.
yeah,
So talk to the person who does. That doesn't cost you money. It may lead to you hiring that person as your lawyer, but at least it arms you with good information. A lot of times you get injured at work and you report it like you should, and the employer will send you to the emergency room or to an urgent care walk-in center.
yeah.
And then what I'll see happen after that is that the injured persons, all of their follow-ups continue at that walk-in center, when in fact the workers' comp laws allow you to choose your own doctor. You don't have to be
Wow.
you don't have to be returning there. So do you want to go to the clinic where they see a million people for a million different problems every day, or do you want to go to a proper specialist that focuses on your medical problem every day, all day long? It just makes sense to me, but you don't necessarily know that because most people don't know all the workers' comp laws. That's why
I
you have
had
workers' comp lawyers.
I had the, I'm so glad to have you here, because things like that, like I had no idea. If you go to the first, doctor or the walk-in clinic, you gotta continue going there because you assume that your job is letting you know, continue going to the same doctor, not knowing that you can actually go to the proper doctor or choose your doctor
Right.
of,
And
yeah,
you have a lot of fantastic HR, human resources people. You have a lot of fantastic doctors and healthcare providers at the urgent care centers. It's not like everybody's all bad and out to get you all the time. But you also have some nightmares in those areas as well. The thing is, none of them have the obligation to tell you what your rights are. They're not
wow,
required to. That you can't rely on them to make sure you know what all of your benefits are. It's not
yeah,
their job to do that. So that's why, again, I think talk to the right person who can make sure you, and then you can make your own informed decision. Yes, I want to do this, or no, I want to back off. And, or how do you navigate it in a way that's least disruptive to your life or your job or your employer employee situation? You don't want to screw that up. But at the same time, you got to get better. And you need benefits to help you pay your bills if you have to miss time from work because of your injuries.
See, little gems like that. I love this. I love this, Michael. Talking about that segment, can you share with us any nightmare stories that you had, in terms about the process about it could be an accident or, any stories that you can actually share with us that you can actually help somebody else at this moment?
Well, I have to be careful a little bit about what I say. I don't want to,
Yes.
I have to respect,
The
attorney-client privilege
privacy. No, no,
and
no,
basic
absolutely.
decency and privacy.
Yes.
So I'm trying to navigate that a little bit right now. Of course, I have stories, and they're real, and they're grounded in phenomenal successes, and they're also grounded in some nightmares that people have had because they didn't do something right, or they had a problem due to some law that made it challenging for
Yeah.
them. And what I think that
We got to
should
talk
be
about the good
happening.
and the bad, obviously. So I wanted to share
Yeah,
something,
like what you got to do to avoid these some of the nightmares is engage a proper lawyer in a timely manner. If you
okay.
bring me in, or again, a lot of us do the same thing that are lawyers in Connecticut, whether you're on TV, 800 times a day, or you're on the billboard, or you're on the bus, or you're online digitally, whatever it is, we're all trying to accomplish the same thing, which is
Yeah.
protect our clients, fight for our clients, be a compassionate ear for our clients so they're heard. And through all that, at the end of the day, get them a great result. So we're all about that. That's what I do, and I'm
Absolutely.
not the only one. But when I see people come into me and it's a year or two after their workers' comp injury started, we're digging out of a hole that you never had to be in the first place if you'd come to me early on. Now, I
Yeah.
understand that the motives are I don't want to rock the boat at work, or I'm hoping that I get better quickly and easily, and then it turns out not to be that way. But engage the lawyer promptly. When you're in the motor vehicle accident, take the pictures, call the police, gather the information, and get your medical care that you need for urgent care or emergency care, but then engage the lawyer. We know what to do. It doesn't make you bad or greedy. It just makes you smart.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what about, success, stories? I'm pretty sure you got many, 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 and that we can actually talk about. I know that you are an excellent lawyer. I've been following you in social media, and, I can't wait to meet you personally, but I love, you know, when I follow people or businesses, I wanted to make sure, and it's something that it gravitates me because, I've been following you, and a lot of people that I know in common knows you. Obviously, we talked about it earlier. Um,
Yep.
she was
Yeah,
she
it's a
was
small
just
world sometimes.
earlier. So imagine Connecticut is a small state. So, obviously, Evie, I know that you have questions. If you have any questions, Evie, shoot them. I got to introduce you to Evie. Evie, she's amazing. I haven't seen you, but another person that I think that you guys see, I like doing the lives because everybody can comment and, ask the questions and network. But yeah, share with us anything, in a good, obviously we talked about the bad. We got to talk about the success stories that you have done. Can you share at least a couple?
I mean, every one of them is a success story.
I'm
I mean,
with you.
I
I
mean,
love that comeback.
I mean, when you're handing, I mean, and it's not a greed thing. It's not somebody's getting for nothing. Almost all the time when there's a big payment, that
Yeah,
person would have been better off without the injury in the first place. It sucks to get hurt so badly that there's a big payment involved. There's no
yeah,
joking about that.
yeah,
So these are not handouts. Nobody's winning a lottery when they get a settlement or a good result from a trial.
yeah,
What they're doing is, a drop in the bucket to help make up for something that's happened to them. But it's rewarding as the professional to give that to somebody, and yeah, there are some that they're easy to do, and there's some that come as the result of a long drawn out fight. Those are always fantastic. But without I would be spilling the beans about individuals if I
Yeah.
got too into it, you know. But yeah, I've got some good stories for you. You know, one of them, I was talking to a gentleman just a couple of days ago, and in the past, he had given me permission to mention that I had done this. But you know, this is many years ago, back before back before marijuana was recreationally legal in Connecticut, and when it
Okay.
was only legal for medical purposes. um, I think I might have been the second lawyer in Connecticut to have a trial and then force the workers' comp employer to pay for the medical marijuana. That was kind of rewarding and interesting because when I handed the
Wow.
check to the client, my client said to me, Attorney Pollack, this is a beautiful thing, and thank you so much. And I said, geez, I never handed anybody money for their, for that before, but he earned it. He needed it. It was very legitimate medically. And it was actually a very big deal for medical purposes. But
Wow.
that was just different, you know. But having gone through trials in workers' comp and trials in the court system and all the other ways that we lawyers try to reach a result for our client, arbitrations, mediations, and then just direct discussion settlements. You know, they're all successes. They're all rewarding. Every one of them, you're helping somebody. And I do. I think back to people in my family, and they helped people in other ways, and this is my way to do that.
That's phenomenal. Any, what I wanted to ask you, that we talked about that subject. Do you, your personal opinion, obviously as an attorney, do you prefer to settle the cases beforehand? Or obviously, I know that you're looking for the best option for the client. Is it better, sometimes to settle before, for them to have the money, or you go all the way? What type of attorney, you are in
So
that
my
way?
my take on it is it depends. You know, pretend for the sake of discussion you have bad injuries and they're worth $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
But I can settle your case for $5,000. Of course, we're not going to take that.
Yeah.
We're going to go and we're going to push it. We're going to go fight it out. And if that means we're going to go to a trial, then that's what we're going to do. But let's say you think your case is worth $100,000, but they're willing to settle for $99,000. You still want to risk your trial? Of course not.
Yeah.
So, there's no clear answer to that. To me, the answer is it completely depends. Prepare every case from the beginning, like you're going to need to go to trial and conduct a full blown trial. And then you're bargaining from strength and not weakness, and you're ready to go. And bear in mind, trials, they've got risk and they have cost and they have a lot of time investment, not just for me, the lawyer, but for you, the client.
Yeah.
So, there are a lot of other intangibles and pieces of the puzzle, so to speak. And I think that there's no one size fits all answer to that. But it's a good thing to settle when the amount is appropriate and you can avoid the obligation of a trial. What I like to do is I like to treat it this way. If you're my client, can I look you in the eye and tell you that you'll probably do better at trial? If I cannot do that, if I, human being to human being,
Yeah.
lawyer to client, if I cannot tell you, looking you in the eye, I think you'll probably do better at trial, well, then maybe you think more seriously about the deal.
Absolutely.
If I can tell you confidently, I think you'll probably do better at trial, well, then trial's the path to go on.
Okay. And thank you for that. For people that are logging in right now, we want to go back to, question one. What type of attorney you are? What exactly you help people in what branches?
So all personal injury and workers' compensation. So, I mean, workers' compensation just means that you got injured at work, and it doesn't matter who's at fault. You can have a legitimate, valid, reasonable workers' comp claim if you're the one to blame for your injury, if somebody else is. And sometimes things happen and nobody's to blame, they just happen. But if
Hmm.
it happens at work during the course and scope of your employment, that makes it workers' comp. Personal injury, that's an umbrella term that we use, and that describes things like anything involving negligence, motor vehicle accidents, slip and falls, wrongful death cases, and you can even put malpractice and product liability underneath that personal injury umbrella. And dog bites, that's things people have heard of and whatnot. But personal injury, all of those types of cases, and workers' comp, about 50-50 for me on all of my cases. That's what I do.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much, Michael. I really appreciate, your time is
My
your
pleasure.
information is super valuable, not only to me, but whoever is going to actually see this and, obviously share this information. So anyone who wants to actually get in contact with you, who should they call? What is the number for the office? And I'm going to actually link your information for
Thank you.
all the information, but, share with us how they can
Sonia,
contact you.
I really appreciate it. So the best way to reach me is to call. And my office phone number is 860-206-6020. 860-206-6020. That's my office number. Give a call. I'll be happy to talk with anybody and try to help anybody out.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much, Michael. I know that you're extremely busy. I can't wait to personally meet you. And, obviously to all
Me too.
everybody who follows here, I'm gonna make sure to pass your information anytime. And the next event that I will have, face to face, I would love to for you to attend and help the community because this is super important to educate the community the right way. It's not about, hey, this, I can help you, and it's like a number. I deal with the clients, for both company Latin and Sharp, with education, with, you know, proper, we have to be extremely careful, but educate them the right way and with grace. So I'm so happy to be being able to do this every 30 minutes once a week and talk to different businesses. But I've been meaning to actually reach out to you, so I'm glad that we did this. And thank you for your time and have yourself a wonderful weekend. And before we go, everybody has to. Do you know any words in Spanish that you can actually throw at me? Because
Sure.
I do
I
this
mean,
with everyone who
all
talks to
right. I
me in my
mean, it's
podcast.
embarrassing. It's embarrassing, but I know a couple. But first, let me say, Sonia, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm also looking forward to meeting you in person. So, all right.
Hmm.
Okay. I know a couple words. I don't know. I can
Come
say,
on, share with us
all right.
anything in Spanish
All right.
to close.
Soy abogado.
Soy abogado.
Okay.
Okay.
Here's one that I think is very important. ¿Dónde está el baño?
Where's the bathroom? I love that one.
And wait, I got one more that I know. Me gusta cervezas.
I love that one too. I love beers too. So we definitely, and the next time we see each other, we're definitely gonna have a beer.
Sounds good.
Thank you
Sounds
so
real good.
much. I love that. I wasn't expecting that one, but uh she
Right
says
on.
we were talking about you this morning, so I'm glad that she just joined in.
Yep. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you
Okay.
everybody. Have a nice weekend. Be safe.
Right on. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.